Good evening, and welcome to Jill Wolfe. For all of you joining me for the replay, thank you for joining me, and I hope that tonight's episode is helpful and gives you some ideas on how to use dance to improve writing. So for the last 8 weeks, I've been doing a series called Using Play to Improve Writing, and my goal is to help you come up with ideas, homeschool moms, come up with ideas on how to incorporate writing into play. When we engage our children in the places that they feel comfortable and in areas they're enjoying, like where they play, we find that they press through challenges, they press through frustrations a lot more regularly, a lot deeper. They'll even take on things that are far above even their own grade level if it's rooted in things that they're really enjoying, like play. So this series is meant to give you some ideas on how to use play to improve writing. And tonight, episode 9, we're focusing on dance. For those who don't know me or don't know me well, I'm Jill Wolfe, learning specialist, and I help homeschool moms plan meaningful experiences in order to awaken the learning. And tonight we're going to focus on the specific learning of writing and through the area of dance. So let me just jump right in. And I will say that I am not a dancer. But I tried tonight to fashion myself after dance. I actually am wearing a shirt with some bling on it, which I know dancers have all sorts of different fashion pieces they wear. When I think of dance, it's interesting. For me, when I think of dance, I immediately go to ballet. And I don't know why. I never did ballet. I wasn't great at ballet. I think ballet is beautiful. I don't even think I've ever been to a ballet. A friend of mine in high school did a Nutcracker at Christmas, and I attended that. I think that was the only ballet I've ever been to, but I've watched it on TV, and it's beautiful. But there's so many other kinds of dance. And so when I think of dance as bigger than just ballet, then I have done some dance in my 20s, and I'm not telling you when that was. I did a lot of country dancing. I did line dancing. I did country swing and the waltz and country waltz, and just I was always out doing dancing at country in a country bars. And then I did swing dancing, and I did swing dancing classes, and I even taught swing dancing and line dancing and waltzing to high school students a couple years. So I have done some dance, apparently, that I always forget, because when I think of dance, I always go to ballet or to the stage, and I never did those. But dance comes in all forms. I even think that how many of you have ever heard of parkour? It is, for those who don't know, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's still kind of new to me, but to watch it, it is rugged and elegant at the same time. And it's usually men. I haven't seen a whole lot of women do parkour. I've seen it in a lot of movies, and you can even YouTube watch some parkour. But it's the motion through a space, usually like along the ledges of a building and then down and jumping from, but it's jumping, and it's elegantly jumping and landing and rolling and then up, and just the movement of it is very fluid for the kinds of jumps and distances that they're covering in it. It's a fascinating. So to me, I actually put parkour in with dance because I think it's a rugged looking kind of dance. There's Gene Kelly. Oh, he stole the stage when it came to dancing, right? I enjoyed watching him. There's all kinds of dance that we can watch, that we can participate in. But dance is a lot of moving with the body. And so when I picked this one, I thought, oh, okay, this is going to be a stretch, because how do I get from dance, which is the body movement, to writing? And there's some interesting ideas that I have come up with for you. So first, let me put dance on my chart back here. I didn't have a chance to write it before. Okay. Not going to do fancy letters tonight because, well, I don't want to waste time doing it. But let me start with dance that you're doing. And some of the writing that you can do about dance is very emotional. And it's a lot about feelings. So what am I feeling when I dance? I just remembered, I wrote a piece once after dancing this one evening with a total stranger all night, and I never even got his name. We were at a friend of mine and I were at this country dance place, and he was just such a gentleman and so great on the dance floor that the feelings were just overwhelming with joy. I mean, it just was all sorts of feelings that went with, it was very poetic to dance with this total stranger all evening. So I came away from dancing and I had a lot of feelings that I could write about. Sometimes we dance because we're happy, yeah. Those who used to watch Friends, you can remember Chandler's dances, right? Like he had cheesy dances. So sometimes dancing is all about the feelings that it's evoking. And so your child could do, let's say that they're dancing around and say, okay, hey, stop for a second. What are you feeling like right now? Like what's motivating you internally to move this way? And I would just stop and drop some words onto a page. But even more than that, it could be, I don't want to get to story yet because that's another one, but sometimes we dance and we can connect ask the question, what feelings are you feeling from dancing that way? And then sometimes it's, I'm feeling this way, so I want to dance and I want to move. And so they're kind of backwards, back and forth between them. But how am I experiencing feelings with dance? And that can be as simple as just a reflective question. What are you feeling when you do that dance? If they're in a dance class, then when they come home from a dance session, you can say, I want you to dance one of your dances for me that you guys are working on in class. And I want you to be really aware of what's going on in your head and in your heart and all your feelings as you move. And then when she's done, have her stop. And now I'm using she a lot. I know there's male dancers, young boys who dance too. So I'm sorry if she comes out most of the evening. But anyway, so when she comes back from a class, have her do one of her dances for you and then ask her to write about what she feels as she does it. Now, the other side is writing about watching it. So you as mom could say, okay, I want you to do your dance and I'm going to write what I feel as I see you dance this way. And then when we're done, I'm going to have you write about how you felt doing that dance. And then let's see if it was a communication of sorts of those moves. And so then you guys get to write and compare kinds of things. Undoubtedly, some of the parent feelings are, I'm so proud of you, or I'm so impressed you can do a move like that. But to even dig deeper than that, to what do I feel like there's, I don't want to limit them to like joy and sadness, but to pain or torment or excitement or rage, like what are, and in a lot of ways, it's really good to get in connection to so many kind of emotional words. And maybe you're going to need, for support on this, you might need to get out a whole page of a list of feeling words so that he or she has a resource to pull from as well. They may or may not be as comfortable with a wider range of feelings. So that's one way you can actually begin to build a support in maybe your word journal or whatever you're doing where you collect or write words and phrases that you want to use when you write, but you can pull up some pages of words, feeling words. Anyway, so that's one kind. Then there's storytelling. Now, I know a lot of you are like, storytelling, but the Nutcracker, a Christmas ballet, it's a whole story told through ballet. There are other stories out there. There's a movie called Center Stage, but I think that the content might be a little too adult for, kids under like 14, 15 even to be watching it. But you could just go to the scenes where they're performing the ballet, like at the very end. And they're telling a story through the ballet that they do on the stage. Frequently, there's a story being told. So you could say, you know what I want you to do? I want you to come up with a story, and we're going to write a story, and then I'm going to have you dance the story. Or vice versa. Hey, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to dance a story, come up with a story in your mind, and I want you to dance it. Then we're going to stop and we're going to write it. And we're going to see, maybe even you do it both ways. 2 different stories. Like one night we're going to do it this way, one night do it the other. And then actually compare which was easier to write. When I danced it first, or when I wrote it and then danced it. And then maybe dancing it had me revise it. Like, what's the effect of dancing the story on what I've written? That actually is, I think, a fun little experiment that you could do to see the effects of dance on your ability to write. So that's a storytelling idea. There's also some kinds of cultural dances that tell stories. So my cousin is spent many years in Hawaii, and all of their hula dances, I know I'm really butchering the hula dance, but a lot of the hula dance, in fact, all of them, I think, are telling stories of the Hawaiian history and Hawaiian culture. In fact, for years, that's how they passed along their history to each generation, was through the hula dances, and they told a whole story. My son is crazy about Moana, the movie Moana, and when you watch that at the very beginning, she's doing some dance, and then she's singing at the same time, and the words she's singing talk about telling the story of their ancestry while she dances. So there are a lot of cultures that do that. So maybe your son or daughter is doing one kind of dance, and you can introduce the idea of something like hula dance tells history or a story. So you might say, okay, what we're going to do is tell a story about you or your childhood or our family, and we're going to have you dance it out. And so there's some thinking and maybe even writing beforehand of what family story am I going to tell, and then how am I going to dance it. Or vice versa, I'm going to dance it. I think about it in my head and dance it, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to write about this particular family story. So it's using storytelling. You can pick up a new kind of dance like hula, watch a couple YouTube videos about some of the movements, and then add your own way of telling the story. Or it could be any other kind of dance, and go back and forth with write the story and then dance it, or dance a story and then write it. Okay, so there's storytelling, there's emotional. Then there is some procedural part of dancing. And that is more about technique and the way you move and the way you do a series of moves. And I realized that at some level of dance, they just show you and you mimic it. And then you've put that all together. But at some point in a dance career, they're teaching you individual moves. Again, I come back to ballet, but only because I've watched so many movies with ballet in it. But they have you at the bar, and you have first position, you have second position, and you learn this kind of move and this kind of stance, and, pas de bourrée, and all these different words. I only know that word because it was on Friends. I don't even know what a pas de bourrée is. But anyway, there are names for and descriptions of moves and stances and the different kinds of dance and the different way that you move. And so procedural text or procedural writing is just about, okay, we're going to have you, I want you to make up a dance, and then I want you to write out the steps of it. But I want you to either write the names of the moves or a description of the move as though you were teaching somebody. And that would be procedural. It could be very much like a choreographer would do. Many times a choreographer has just a few bullet points of notes, but they have it associated maybe with a song. And so at this point in the song, you're going to do this. And at this point in the song, you do this. In fact, I do remember I was part of a entertainer group in high school, and we had a song where we did tap. I'd never done tap before. And so I had just joined the group and we had a performance. I kind of joined mid-year and they're like, Jill, you got to learn the time step. And I'm all, okay, what's that? And so they showed me real quick. Well, I could now write the name of what a time step is and how you do a time step. I could also write in the course of a song where I would put that. So procedural text is more about the technique. It's the steps, it's the choreography, it's the sequence of what I'm doing. So that's a kind of writing you could do. And I know some are like, well, why would we necessarily need to do that? But what you're doing is working on the concept of procedural texts. And procedural texts are sequential. Procedural texts, and I say texts like what you're writing or even if you've read them. Procedural writing is it's sequence, it's descriptive words, it's names of things or pieces or moves in this case. It has, in some cases, like in dance, it has some timing involved. And but understanding how to write procedural kind of writing is crucial. In life, we do a lot of this. And so to learn how to do this through dance is a great way because they love choreographing a song or, you know, putting together their own dance moves. And this could be, if they're not at the place where they feel like they could really describe, like if they're still young and they can't necessarily describe all the moves for a piece they did themselves, then maybe they just do it from what they're doing in class. Or even you could tape what they do in class and then they come back and watching the tape, I could write out what I did. And so it's not even me doing it right live here and then trying to remember it or jot it down. I can actually have video of me doing it. Even at home, you could do that actually. Take a video, say you're gonna put together a dance. I'm gonna videotape it. And then you're gonna use both what your movement and the video of your movement. I want you to write up steps. So there's all sorts of kinds of writing you can do. Now, there is some, now this is more around doing dance, okay? Now there's about watching dance. And of course, I pick yellow. Can you even see that? Oh yeah, it does show up, that's nice. Okay, watching dance. Some of that is to learn a wider variety of dance. Some of it, sometimes it's just because I like to dance, so I like to watch dance and see what people are putting together and feel the feelings that come with watching a beautifully danced dance. Or maybe I want to learn a new dance, and so I'm watching how to do it. So watching, and let me grab another color because yellow is not going to show up super well. I have a million markers in my office. I have a million markers. You'd think I could find them faster, but my son finds them and then writes on the walls with them. So that's not good. I have to hide them. Okay, so in watching, I can actually do procedural, right? Because I can watch what somebody's doing and I can write what they did. So there are a ton of things that you could watch. There's YouTube videos, clearly. I could go on, I could watch dance contests. I could watch, you know, I want to learn the samba or the tango. I could watch those on YouTube. There are lots of movies with dance scenes in them. All of your musicals have choreography. Whether they have a specific kind of dance is different. Singing in the Rain, a real classic. Gene Kelly just, you know, tears up the screen with his dance. And so there's a wide variety of places you could go watch it. And it would just depend on what do you guys enjoy watching? What does she want to watch? He want to watch? What is it just for fun, or do you want to watch to like learn moves from it? So whatever your purpose for watching, procedural is definitely one kind of writing you could do from it. So even if we're watching it for fun, at the end we could say, hey, we're going to go back and I'm going to have you watch this one dance. And I just want you to write down the steps you recognize of what he did or what she did. Okay. There's emotional writing. right? This time, it's not the feelings I'm feeling of doing the dance when I'm doing the moves. It's the feelings of watching it. What is this evoking in me? What is it stirring up? What does it make me feel? What questions does it make me ask? Dance is an art. So art is meant to challenge us, to reveal things, to make us reflect and ask questions and feel. And so what are some of those things, emotional things that are coming up as I watch a particular dance? I could also watch a storytelling. I could go watch a hula dance or the Nutcracker or something like that and see if I can figure out the storyline from watching this. So those are the three big ones that come to mind. So I have this book. I use it in my course called You're Smarter Than You Think. And it's called It's Smarter Than You Think, A Kid's Guide to Multiple Intelligences. And it just gives, it's in very kid-friendly language and parent-friendly language. It dives deep into each of the 8 multiple intelligences and gives you ideas on how to strengthen each, how to use each, how to understand it, so you can better understand yourself, and then ideas how to use one to leverage one to strengthen the other. So I had in here, one of the intelligences is body smart or body intelligence. And so that's where dance comes in. And so I came to this to get some ideas to share with you today. So let's see. I don't want to just read it to you, but they're talking about dancing as a form of creativity that uses your whole body. Okay, we've talked about that. This is a great statement. When you dance, you're not simply moving to music, you're communicating something to other people or even to yourself. So it could even be, what am I communicating when I dance this way? Am I communicating a feeling? So there's things I feel, but what am I trying to communicate out to someone? Am I trying to tell a story? Am I trying to communicate an emotion? Am I trying to get someone's attention in some way or change someone's thinking about something? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to communicate? They said it can be complicated, fancy, or just simply grooving to whatever music's going on. And there's this list: swing, salsa, ballroom, ballet, hip hop, jazz, tap, clogging, belly dancing, modern, folk, traditional. And I'm sure there's even more, because now, and this doesn't even include some of the things like parkour and break dancing and there's all sorts of new dancing that comes on the scene all the time, especially new, like that movie Step Up. I think they're on number 6 right now or something. The original one. They took classical music, and the whole story was about a young man who kind of comes from the hip hop world, meeting a gal in the ballet world, and they're kind of forced together to help each other. Dance is dance, and so they merge the two styles, and they merged the two types of music, and it really was a really beautiful kind of mashup thing that went on. So there is all kinds of dance. To talk about the hula dance and how it can help tell stories. Yeah, I think I covered actually everything that's in here. But for the most part, there's doing dance, there's watching dance. There's also teaching dance, which is doing, but in a more procedural type way or choreographed kind of way. It's a way of teaching someone else all of these pieces. So not only am I teaching you some techniques and some steps and some ways to move, but I'm also going to give you some of the ways to put emotion into it and the way to feel. It may be that I'm even describing something so that you can get your head in the right place, so that when your body moves, it communicates what it's supposed to communicate. So maybe you decide to say, okay, we're going to look into, so maybe you have a 4th grader, 5th grader who likes dance, and maybe a friend of yours has a first or second grade little girl. And maybe she can get 2 or 3 friends together, and your 4th or 5th grader is going to teach a dance class for fun. And so she has to put together, what am I going to teach them? What steps are we going to tell a story with our dance? What am I going to try to get them to feel with this? And so then there's not just doing it, but there's I'm planning, then I'm doing it, and I'm watching it. And some of the writing that goes on could be beforehand. It's planning out, what am I going to do? How am I going to go about teaching what steps, what story, what feelings? But then there's afterwards, like, what did you feel when you watched it? When you watched these little first grade girls do the moves that you taught them? Did you feel proud? Did you want to jump in and try to fix it? Did you just see the joy on their face? And that brought you joy? Like, what was the feelings and emotions that came over you in these kinds of areas when it came to teaching and kind of passing it on? So there's a lot of different kind of writing that you can do about dance. And I really felt stretched on this one, but I think part of it is because dance itself is meant to replace words. It's an art. Art is meant to replace the written word in a way that evokes something from you, whether it's telling a story or getting you to feel something. It does it with some kind of visual, and it's meant to not need language. So bringing writing to it and away from it, at first I was like, am I going to ruin the dance experience to bring writing into it? But I actually think that you can, I don't think that you have to, that it will ruin the dance experience. I think what it'll do is enhance the writing experience for your child. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. How can we dig in and have them improve some writing skills, actually do some writing, feel comfortable writing, enjoy writing? And the way to do that is to root it in things that they're enjoying. And so I'm excited to hear if any of you guys try this and what works, what doesn't, which kinds of dance. And if any of you like videotape and then she writes something, I'd love, if you're comfortable, to post it, because I'd love to see what comes of using dance to improve writing. So thank you all very much. And I hope that you have a great night, a wonderful weekend, and that somehow using dance to improve your writing will awaken your learner in a very, very exciting way. Okay? See you guys.